Hello, welcome to Sideways. I'm recording this week's introduction before we've even done the episode, so I've got absolutely no idea what we're talking about. But it struck me that if you're already listening to this introduction, there's probably not much that I could say that would put you off listening anyway. So, the birds are so amazing this morning. I thought you might appreciate just listening to them instead of me for once.
Good morning.
Good morning. I thought we were just going to try and do the whole episode with sign language there.
Yeah, it wouldn't come across particularly well, but it'd keep us on our toes, wouldn't it?
Some people might consider it an improvement.
Completely silent one. Yeah, we could do that. Just have a little bit, perhaps a little bit of white noise or something.
You look a bit like Charlie Chaplin.
Nothing wrong with a silent film, that's for sure.
Did you like Charlie Chaplin?
No.
No, I like Laurel and Hardy.
Laurel and Hardy, just brilliant. I still watch them now and find them incredibly funny.
Yeah, I didn't like Charlie Chaplin or Buster Keaton.
No.
Or any of that. I found that it a bit maudlin, a bit depressing, actually.
It was really. I mean, there's only so many laughs you can get out of a tramp kicking someone up the arse, isn't there, really? And Charlie Chaplin made a whole career out of it.
Is that what you feel his career could be summed up as?
Yeah, I do.
Kicking people up the arse. Like Greg Wright. Didn't Greg Wright kick you up the arse at school once when he was carrying a record player?
Yeah, I was in the corridor, yeah. I'm still sore about that to this day, thank you.
Well, he's dead now, so you can let it go.
I did let it go after a quite considerable amount of time. He humiliated me in front of my fellow school pals.
Well, I mean, he had a spell in prison, so wouldn't you have considered that penance enough?
Well, he didn't do it for my crime that was committed against me, so no, he should have had an extra sentence for that.
No, but he did do it for a crime that was related to the way he was treating children.
He did. Yeah.
We probably shouldn't go any further into that, should we, at this stage?
I think we should leave it very much there.
Draw a discreet veil over it.
It's gone and dusted.
Yeah.
Or done and dusted. You can't have gone and dusted, really, can you?
Not really.
But anyway,
no, I knew what you meant.
Yeah, I know you did, and I shouldn't have drawn attention to it. But my notes this week, right? It's the shortest title I've ever used. It's just the 4 letters, Tact.
Okay. Where did that one come from?
Well, funny you should make that. Was an idea you messaged over to me.
Oh, did I?
Didn't you?
No, I'd forgotten that.
It was out of the blue and without context.
Oh.
But I assumed something triggered the idea. But obviously, you can't remember that. Huh?
How long ago was it?
I think it was a couple of weeks, but you've been quite on fire recently, haven't you, with lots of different ideas?
I think that's what happens. I hear something, I read something, and I think, oh, that's an interesting topic. We should do that. But funnily enough, I think I was writing something about this. I might even have written it in my blog this week. But the problem I have is I have these ideas and I write them down and then I don't note the context. And then when it comes to trying to remember why I thought it would be a good thing to talk about, I've completely forgotten.
All right, that's why. Yeah, I can do that quite easily, but now I've got my allocated sideways notepad that I keep everything in. I do try when I write something in, I do try and clarify it because I just forget what it was all about.
Yeah, well, tell me this then, because
okay,
you cracked this idea of having a system for maintaining records.
Yeah.
I see what my problem is. If I'm out driving or walking the dogs or something, and I have an idea, then I'm limited in terms of the device or the format in which I can capture it. So if I was lucky enough to have a sideways notebook, I wouldn't always have my sideways notebook with me, and therefore I couldn't guarantee that I would note things down in there. Or do you transfer things into it?
Yeah, well, see, very similar, or very what you're describing there happened to me yesterday. In fact, I'm just looking through my notes because I had an idea for a podcast when I was in the car yesterday. And so when I pulled up at the traffic lights, I just quickly did a voice note on my phone.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You see, I will do something like that, but then I will forget to transfer it. And then 6 months later, I'll find this random voice note on my phone. And I think, what on earth was happening? What was I thinking?
Yeah, well, the one that came up yesterday, it was just the idea was, why don't we heed advice? It's only because it came up in group, and I thought, that would make a good episode.
It's a good one, yeah. But that's not what we're doing this week.
We're not, no. We do that at a later stage.
Right, we're back to Tact then.
We are back to Tact. But before we start, I don't know if you saw that video on Sky News where someone had taken this short video of an alligator wandering into their house in Florida.
No,
Did you see that?
No.
Absolutely shocking. I mean, I don't think my first thought would have been, actually, I better quickly get my phone and record this.
No.
It was a full-sized alligator just wandered in. I mean, I don't know about you, but I get panicking when a wasp flies in, and it's
happened this morning actually.
It's not the same, is it, as an alligator? It's absolutely frightening.
Yeah. Has it ever happened to you? Have you ever had an alligator wander into your house?
No, I haven't. No, but I've had this recurring dream about tigers wandering into my house, and yeah, I'm sure perhaps Freud would make something of that. I'm not big on dream interpretation, really. I think.
Aren't you? What you mean? You don't believe in it, or
not really? No, I think hasn't Freud been sort of discredited for a lot of the old.
Well, I think you'll find that dream interpretation is kind of wider than Freud. In fact, it's probably an area that neuroscience looks at these days. And if you're interested in examining that further, then last week's episode of what's that program on Radio 4? It'll come to me in a minute. Anyway, last week's episode had a big part of it devoted to dream interpretation. It was very interesting.
Was it? Well, perhaps I ought to have a listen to that, really, because I've been quite sceptical about it.
Yeah.
Perhaps like tigers. I mean, they're just like giant wasps, basically, aren't they? The same colours and everything.
They don't fly so easily, do they?
They don't. But in my dreams, they sort of leap about a bit quite high.
Tell me more. What else do they do in your dream?
They bite me in the hand.
Oh, they bite you in the hand, specifically the hand.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
I can't remember.
Do you wake up? Do you wake up at that point?
Yeah, you wake up and think, what's that? What's going on? But I haven't had it for a long time. Perhaps it was more around when I was drinking. I don't think I've had it during my sober period. So there's probably something that's a bit weird going on there.
Well, I mean, that's a dream about being attacked, isn't it? It sounds as if, that is an anxiety dream about fearing some sort of something, perhaps. I remember hearing a theory once that, I don't know whether it's really got any credibility, but the idea that everybody in your dream is some sort of representation of you. And if that were the case in a dream with a tiger biting your hand when you were drinking, one could interpret it as you, being a threat to yourself.
No, see, again, that's just all waffly interpretation, and there's no science attached to it. I think it's just. Do you only set any store by something that has scientific rigor? Yeah, credible scientific evidence.
Really, but almost, I reckon, 90% of what we talk about can't be proven one way or another.
No, which is what I like about it, because people can't have a go at us, can they?
Yeah, but you're a contradiction then, aren't you? Because you like to rely on things that have some sort of basis in provable fact.
I didn't come on here for
a lot of life doesn't, does it?
I didn't come on here for a therapy session, thank you.
Anyway, the program I was thinking of it's called All in the Mind.
Oh, okay.
And you can find it if you happen to be in the UK, or you have access to the radio iPlayer, whatever it's called. What's it called? BBC Sounds. BBC
Sounds, yeah.
Yeah, it's called All in the Mind, and the episode was on dreams and dreaming, and it was all kind of centered around what can be learned from brain scans of people, of their dreams. So you might quite like it because there's a lot of science in it.
Now we're talking. I'll listen to that, yeah.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, should we get on to the subject matter before we drift way too wide of the mark?
Yeah, okay.
I'm just going to define it first, as I like to do.
Right.
It's again, there's several different interpretations, but basically it seems that tact is refers to the skill and sensitivity in dealing with other people or with difficult issues.
Yeah.
I think I've got a couple of quotes I just want to use right at this point because I think it illustrates it quite nicely.
All right.
First one's it's from Isaac Newton.
Oh yeah, I've heard of him.
He's a good lad, wasn't he? Yeah.
I didn't know him.
He invented gravity, didn't he? We were all sort of floating around before he sorted that one out.
It didn't exist, did it?
It didn't. But he said that tact is the art of making a point without making an enemy.
The art of making a point without making an enemy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. That kind of there's a crossover there with assertiveness, isn't there?
There is a bit there, isn't there? But there's a second quote which perhaps it's got a slightly different vibe to it. But it's from Winston Churchill.
Yeah, I know him as well.
Know him? Have you been to his house? It's only just up the road, isn't it? It's only up in Chartwell.
Did he invite you?
He didn't invite me. No, he's long gone, bless him. But his house is quite magnificent. It's National Trust, I think.
I don't think I've ever been there. The closest I've got is that there's a statue of him in Westerham, isn't there? Sitting in a big armchair. I know it's in Westerham, but I've never been to his house. You must
go. It's inspiring. A lot of his artwork's there as well.
Make me.
It's great. Not going to. No. I'll leave that with you. Again, we've wandered way off subject here. His particular quote regarding tact, as I say, it's slightly more aggressive, really. He sees tact as the ability to tell someone to go to hell in such a way that they look forward to the trip. Quite Churchillian, isn't it?
That is quite Churchillian, yeah. So you've been put in your place, but you haven't really realised you've been put in your place.
Exactly, yeah. It's a bit of a harder approach than Isaac Newton. What I wanted to look at was two areas, really. Why tact is important, and the second part was how we develop tact.
Okay.
All right. So I'm sure you'll be able to help me out in some of this. But the reasons why it's important, again, when I was doing the research, tact allows us to be honest whilst respecting a person's feeling or their feelings. And when we communicate tactfully, we can preserve relationships, build credibility, and demonstrate thoughtfulness. That's what it came out in the research, which is quite a lot in there. But I think it's pretty straightforward, that, isn't it, really?
It is. I mean, it's the more we talk about it, the more it feels like assertiveness.
No, that is true. But I don't know about you, but sometimes I get this real compulsion to jump in. And if someone is saying something that's clearly not very tactful to someone, I almost feel like it's a responsibility to jump in and try and smooth the waters somewhat to help them out. But I don't think it's probably not the right thing to do, is it? I mean, I don't know.
Can you think of an example? That's quite an interesting observation. Can you think of an example where it happened?
Yes, I can. I don't know if I can mention any names, but we're at work.
Yeah.
And the guy I work with...
That narrows it down a bit.
It does a little bit. And I remember the guy at work, we were doing some decorating, and the guy said to the lady who were decorating, we'd painted this wall, and he said, "No, I wouldn't have chosen that colour. It's not really me."
Right.
And so I had to sort of jump in and say, "Well, yeah, I think what he's saying there is that we've used similar colours, and it's more sympathetic." And so I found myself sort of trying to dig the other person out of a hole, which is it's not really right, is it?
No, I think that's a great example, actually. And I'll tell you why I think it's a good example, because what I was interested in when you were saying, this is what I have a tendency to do, and I'm sure you're right, I'm sure we all have a tendency to do that, and I could think of situations where I've done the same thing. But I think what you're really trying to do there is you're trying to almost kind of protect your own integrity, aren't you? Because by association, if someone you're working with is saying something that is somewhat insensitive, then there is a danger, isn't there, for us that we think, oh God, this person's going to think that I think that too, or that if I don't say anything that I'm kind of, we're tarred with the same brush. And I think that's sometimes why we might step in, because we're trying to protect our own reputation. Do you think?
Yeah, we're trying to save them as well, though.
I suppose there's some of that, but if you ask yourself in those sorts of situations where you see someone being insensitive, most of the time we'd find it a bit annoying and irritating, wouldn't we? Why are you saying that? Why are you behaving like that? I'm not sure that our prime motivation is to pull someone else out of the mire. I think it's probably a little bit more selfish. I don't want you to think I'm like that.
Oh, perhaps that's what it is. Yeah.
I might, maybe not, but that's what it feels like. It is funny though, isn't it? How people, sometimes people will say something and you can, it kind of seems as if their tactlessness is staggering.
Yeah.
But you ask yourself the question, how could you not see how insensitive that is to say that?
Yeah. And perhaps you're trying to save the recipient of the news as well in some way, soften it for them.
I think that's more likely. I think that stacks up. It's like the person who said it, well, you deal with that because you're an idiot for saying it. I don't want to be associated with it. And I don't want the person on the receiving end of it to be hurting because of it. I think that's absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a triangle going on there. But
you are right. It's not really your business to get involved in that, is it?
No, it's not. It isn't, no. But I've got to be a bit more respectful for the whole process going forward, perhaps. But,
I think it's human, though. I'm sure we all do.
Yeah, it's probably not right. But anyway, going back to we've been dragged. That was just a thought that cropped up there. But going back to what the researcher was telling me about a tactful approach, that apparently it shows good character, maturity, professionalism, and integrity. But it also demonstrates good manners. And, if you can communicate with grace and consideration, you'll stand out a little bit from the crowd, which is probably a little bit from a corporate angle. I think that was coming from.
Yeah, I'll tell you the other thing that I think what it does is it reflects emotional courage. Sometimes often it takes courage to communicate openly and tactfully. You've got to think about the importance of honesty, but frame your honesty in such a way that it doesn't come across as destructive or insulting or hypercritical. It's quite tricky.
It's very tricky, but it's something that myself and my fellow facilitators have to do constantly in groups.
God, I bet you must do. I bet you must.
Constantly, because you're trying to deliver a message without admonishing people for their behaviour.
Same as counselling.
I'm sure. And so it's the whole meeting is really built around tact, which I thought was just quite an interesting one to do.
So in group, just going back to that example you were giving, that must happen a lot in group, where a group member says to another group member something that lacks tact. And then there must be a kind of anxiety that the person on the receiving end of it will be in some way emotionally damaged by it. I mean, I think in those sorts of settings, I imagine you would probably step in then. I think that
all the time. Yeah,
that's right, isn't it? Though
it is.
What you're trying to do, you're trying to protect the integrity of the group.
Yeah,
and not allow one person's lack of tact to throw everything off course.
It is. I mean, if you get a whole load of addicts in a room, all sort of angry with the world and angry with themselves and stuff, it's surprising it doesn't kick off more often, really. But there's a lot of insensitive stuff can be thrown around, and so it's your job there when you're facilitating the group to try and smooth that over and to make sure it goes swimmingly.
I think probably perhaps one of the reasons why it's so prevalent in group in that way is because to be tactful requires quite a lot of sense of self-assuredness, doesn't it? You need to kind of feel okay with yourself in order to be tactful. And I think if you're early in recovery, that's probably going to be difficult for you to feel like, you're well balanced and okay and nothing to prove to anybody.
Well, quite. And I think all the years a lot of us have been in active addiction, you lose any sense of tact, don't you? You don't really care. And I think the only time you ever display or try and get anywhere near tact is when you're trying to get money off of people to buy some drink or drugs or whatever.
But you also must, well, I know this is true, you're also frequently on the receiving end of tactless behavior,
all the time. Yeah.
Because for instance, if you, even in recovery, I imagine, if you say to someone, no, I don't drink because I'm a recovering alcoholic, I imagine some of the things that people might say to you at that point can be incredibly tactless.
Oh, they are. Yeah, that's right. Which is why, again, you have to deliver that message that you're in recovery at the right time, which I want to come on to when it's time appropriate. Yeah.
Oh. Mm.
The last little bit I just want to say before we get on to how we develop tact is that if you are tactful and you can develop the use of it quite and use it broadly, it can help you avoid conflict, and you can find common ground with the person you're speaking to. And it says here, allow others to save face, which is what we were going back to earlier on.
Yeah.
So So it's an important asset in sort of negotiations or in conflict resolution. I think.
Definitely.
What they're trying to say there. Okay, but I just wanted to move on to how do we develop tact? And I want to credit mindtools.com on this one because there's a lot of good stuff on there, which I've sort of not plagiarized directly, but I've used it as a guide and inspiration of what I wanted to say here. But it points out 2 or 3 different things that you need to sort of master, really. The first one is to think before you speak, which I think is fairly straightforward. Because I think we've all spoken out, haven't we, in the heat of the moment, and then perhaps regretted it afterwards. And it sort of caveats that by saying we need to practice active listening, which is probably right, because we can sometimes, and I find myself doing it, perhaps jumping a little bit too quickly. And I should listen a little bit more before I respond.
Yeah. That thinking before you speak, I think kind of bears a little bit of further exploration, doesn't it? Because the importance of that is really about, if you can, imagining how what you're about to say might land.
Yeah.
So going back to the example you used, how would you feel if you agonized over a colour for your wall?
Yeah.
And the decorator said to you, I wouldn't have chosen that colour myself. Yeah. I mean, most of us would think, we'd either be annoyed or we'd be up, or we'd feel a kind of bit bruised, wouldn't we? It's unlikely that you'd think, oh, well, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing about thinking before you speak. It's not just how do I want to say this? It's about when I say it, how is it going to be received? And is that okay for me? I mean, you can't control it, but I think bearing it in mind is quite important.
Yeah, but there's quite a lot to go through before you say something, isn't it? And so it is taking time before you say something, and to go through that process that you've just explained there, it would mean it might be quite a long lull in the conversation while you worked it out. But I think you get used to it once you get practiced at it. And when I look back, the early groups I facilitated, I was completely rubbish. I think I'm just less rubbish now because I've just learned how to deal with it.
Yeah, I think those sorts of things do come with practice. And I think the other thing is, it's not everything that we say that we have to think carefully about, because not everything we say is in any way going to kind of be contentious. Sometimes we might say something contentious, we don't even realise it's contentious. Or you can't kind of think before you speak there, can you?
No.
But I don't know. Don't you think we get a feeling? We kind of get a feeling when we're going to say something to someone. We think, I don't know how this is going to play out. Yeah,
you do. You almost sort of practice it, don't you, in your own mind first? Yeah.
Exactly. They're the situations, I think, where it's worth considering the other person's perspective. How might I feel if this was said to me? And if I would find that painful, how would I most like to hear this?
Yeah. No, you're right. And I think
does my hair look nice? No, it looks terrible. It's like, that's not going to fly, is it?
No, it's not. The next point he goes on to is what we've already touched on is determining the appropriate time to say a certain thing to a certain person. It has to be time appropriate, and it's illustrated. There was a sort of joke letter in Viz. Okay, so it's but it was supposed to be quite funny, but it's you can't take this the wrong way, but it illustrates this perfectly. And they have the sort of a fake sort of guru in there that helps you, in Viz, that helps you with any problems that crop up, and you pass it by this chap.
Yeah.
And someone wrote in saying that if he could, he got this fantastic news that his son had just got a contract with Man City. Okay,
yeah.
Man City. And he was going to mention it at the next family gathering to distribute the good news, which turned out it would be the funeral of a cousin that had just been killed in an industrial accident. Okay,
right. Okay.
So the advice was to perhaps wait until the wake, and then steer the conversation around to football and say how proud their cousin would have been to know about the contract. It was slightly extreme, but I think it illustrates where you can be tactful when you deliver news. Yeah.
You're right. That is quite extreme.
But it made me chuckle at the time, and I'd forgotten about it until I was writing that. I said, I remember that. I'm going to go, and I had to root out one of the old copies of Viz to find it.
It reminds me of an example of terrible tactlessness.
Okay.
Where when I used to work in the corporate world, I can remember we had a supplier who came in one day to reception to see one of my colleagues, and she went down to meet him, and he said to her, "Oh, congratulations! When's the baby due?" She wasn't pregnant, right?
Oh God.
Yeah, but that's bad. That's pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
But then 2 or 3 months later, he did it again.
No.
Exactly the same thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He hadn't learned.
No. No. So that's quite an important part of being tactful, learning from your mistakes.
That is just a massive faux pas. It's one of those ones that is so widely known that you'd never make that assumption.
Yeah, why would you? But having made it once, being told I'm not pregnant, why on earth would you do it again?
I don't know. Perhaps they haven't learned from that.
Well, you obviously didn't learn from it.
It's awful, isn't it?
There we are.
But it goes on in this article on Mind Tools about choosing the words carefully, which again is going to be important because you can make people feel defensive and standoffish with certain phraseology. And it goes on about watching your body language as well, because the body language can match your message. And I know, again, look back in the corporate world when you're doing sales seminars and stuff, they was talking about making eye contact, don't they? And don't cross your arms or your legs, or you don't point, and to practice good body posture. But it's all about, I think the hardest part is being tactful when you're delivering bad news. I think it's quite easy when you're delivering good news, but if you're trying to deliver bad news, I think you've got to be really careful about your body language and how you deliver the message.
Right, like if you're firing someone.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's funny, actually, because I was asked about that the other day by a client. And my approach when I used to have to do that was always just come straight to the point, be unemotional, don't make it personal. That's the most tactful way of dealing with it. It's never nice to be able to have to deal with something like that. There are some situations you have to deal with people that, whichever way you look at it, it's not going to be good. So it's much better in those situations not to beat around the bush, just to, say what you've got to say, and to try and, if there's going to be emotion from the other person, it's worth kind of trying to avoid adding to it yourself.
Mm. Yeah, I think so. I mean, is it cowardice, do you think, that stops us perhaps confronting these things? Because, I mean, the famous story about Phil Collins, he sort of split up from his wife via fax, and that's not good, is it?
Well, to be honest, if Phil Collins broke up with me via fax, I'd be celebrating.
Well, exactly right.
I don't care how he tells me. I'd just be glad to be rid of him.
Yeah, perhaps he did think that through and thought this will be received quite well. It'll land quite nicely, this fax.
Yeah, I mean, of course it is. Yes, it is emotional cowardice. It is. Because, as I said earlier on, to be direct and open and honest with someone and find the right way to express yourself takes emotional courage. Yeah, definitely.
It does. And I think that the last point that I want to come on to that they recommend is not to react emotionally at those stages. And you've already said it there earlier on, didn't you? You try and make it not personal, come straight to the point. But they say it's quite hard for you to be tactful when you're yourself or emotionally unstable, you're angry or upset, because you will perhaps then say things that are less tactful.
Yeah, and that's why in relationships, quite often when we get into conflict, we do more damage than good when we're trying to resolve something. So much of everything we've been speaking about this morning then comes into a big melting pot. We lose sense of the other person's perspective. We're more interested in making our own point than thinking about the other person. We don't think about what we're going to say. We kind of lose our emotional courage because we're trying to say something in such a way that we guarantee the outcome. I mean, all of these things are contrary to what you actually achieve with tact. Because if you say something to someone with tact, it's the way in which you are least likely to do long-term damage to that relationship. It might hurt in the moment.
Yeah.
But in the long run, it's the respectful way to deal with someone.
Yeah, I mean, just wrapping it up, I think it's wise, isn't it, when you have made a mistake in the past, to learn from that, to go back and try and understand why you said it, and how you said it, and don't make the same mistake again, which quite obviously this chap that went down and said about people being pregnant just didn't learn, didn't take that valuable message. Perhaps he didn't regret it. Perhaps he was that thick-skinned that the message he delivered thought it landed okay.
Well, I think the thing that surprised me about that one was, once you've been told, well, I'm not pregnant. I mean, I'd find that so crushingly embarrassing.
Yeah.
That I certainly would never say the same thing to the same person. I'd probably never say that to anybody else in my entire life.
No.
So I think you're right. I think it does say something about the individual. It almost hints at a complete lack of self-awareness.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Which is what I said earlier on, in order to be tactful, you kind of have to be aware of yourself and okay with yourself, I think, but not that okay with yourself.
Well, no, exactly. But that's about it, really, mate. We'll move on to our gratitude list for this week, if we may.
Yep, good plan. You first this week?
Well, we can do. I mean, I suppose personally, I'll be grateful that I haven't had tigers wandering around in my flat. I think that's
or alligators.
Or alligators, yeah. Or any. I mean, have you? I was thinking about that actually, having weird animals in your house. I mean, because I remember a long time ago,
a bloody snake.
I used to have a snake. Yeah, but that's not.
That's a weird animal.
Yeah, but it was in a sort of it's like a fish tanky sort of thing, really.
Great.
An aquarium or whatever it's called.
Oh.
But I remember. Do you remember the Sales family that used to live opposite me along St Luke's Road?
Absolutely, yeah.
Or I remember Mr. Sales. He bought a lamb across and put it in.
Norman.
Yeah, Norman. He bought this lamb across to show us, and he just plonked it down on the floor in the kitchen. It's sort of scampering around on the. Eh?
What did he have a lamb for?
I know. I can't remember why, but he's just suddenly turned. He knocked the back door. And in fact, no, he didn't knock because their back door was always open. He just came in and said, "I wanted to show this to the kids," and he just plonked this lamb down. It was totally out of context. Now, that probably happens quite a lot in the countryside, but living in, I'm a townie, living in the town, it was really out of context. It's really weird.
Yeah, I can't remember ever having a strange animal in my house. So I probably haven't got much to add to that. But I mean, you'd be safe from alligators coming into your flat, wouldn't you? Because I don't know how well they do stairs.
No, I'm on the first floor, so yeah, unless they took the lift.
They wouldn't be able to reach the buttons, would they?
No, they wouldn't.
What they'd need is to get into the lift with a tiger and climb onto the tiger's back so they could reach the buttons.
All my nightmares would come together at once, wouldn't they? And I was just thinking, back, I reckon perhaps Mrs. Sales, what's her name? Was it Gladys?
Gladys, yeah.
Gladys. I reckon she probably said to Norman, "Pop out and get us some lamb, will you?" Or for something like she's bought a whole one back, a live one. I don't know. I honestly don't know where he got it from. I just got this memory. It just suddenly came to me then.
That's probably one of your strange dreams again.
But perhaps it wasn't reality. Yeah,
probably not. Is that what you're grateful for this week? Then?
No, I'm grateful for trainer socks. Well, I paid a bit more money than I normally do for trainer socks because sometimes I find they sort of wander down into the sock from the heel.
Awful. Yeah.
They end up halfway along your foot and they make things. I bought these ones that are called running socks. And they've got more of a cushioned sole to them and a little bit at the back at the heel that sticks over the top of the trainer and keeps it in place. And it's pure comfort.
You have to. Have you been running in them?
No.
I think you have to, I think if they're running socks, I think you have to run in them. Otherwise, someone calls the police.
Trade descriptions. Yeah, well, no, I don't, but I meander. That's close enough to running at my age. How about yourself? What are you grateful for this week? Anything similar to that?
No, I'm grateful that I was able to celebrate my daughter's 21st birthday with a lovely visit to the coast with the dogs. It was one of those, sometimes you have a day and you think, oh, I hope this goes well. I hope this is nice. And you've got high hopes for it. And, quite often things fall a little bit short. But it was a truly lovely day, lovely weather. Dogs had a lovely time. We had a lovely time. We had fish and chips on the way home. I gave too much fish and chips to the puppy and she got the shits in my raised beds later on. But even that didn't dampen my ardour. It was fantastic. So it was one of those days that I was very grateful for.
Oh no, it's lovely. No, I can picture it. I'd be able to picture it better if I knew which town you went to, which coastal resort.
Canberra.
Canberra. Oh well, that's beautiful, lovely sand there, isn't it?
It was lovely. Yeah, I went for a paddle.
Did you? Canberra sand is used quite a lot it's been used in films and stuff, isn't it? Quite a lot. Wasn't part of Afterlife filmed there, the Ricky Gervais one?
Yeah, certainly in the first season.
Yeah. Yeah, that's lovely, Canberra. Was it busy? Because at this time of year it can get a little bit tricky.
No, it wasn't, because, midweek, it's not school holidays. That's one of the other things I love about it.
Yeah, true.
You go down there and it's pretty much only dog walkers there.
Yeah.
So it's good.
I'd be grateful for that too.
Yeah.
Good one. Okay. Well, the Spotify search, I think there's just one choice here, because nothing came up under Tact or tactful or tactless, really. So I've just put a track on by a group called the Tactful Cactus, which I liked the name of the group.
What about the song? Was that any good?
It's called I Don't Know. So perhaps that fits in as well. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to be tactful. But Tactful Cactus, great name.
Now I'm beginning to sweat a little bit because I've realised I haven't thought of a band this week.
Okay. Well, have you not got a list? Because I've got a list in my Sideways notebook. I've got one of the pages allocated.
I've got a Sideways notebook, have I?
Well, get yourself one. I'll have to get, obviously one was a present from my daughter, Lizzie. So, perhaps you can put it on your Amazon wish list and whatever.
Yeah, I might do. All right, this week I'll go for Manfred Mann's Earth Band.
You just had to think of that quickly, have you?
That was the first band that came into my head for some reason. I've got no idea why. I'm sure they've got some great material that I haven't been exposed to because I haven't got any of their albums.
Blinded by the Light, was that them?
I think it was, wasn't it? That was a good song, actually.
Very good song.
There you go.
I'm helping you out here.
Yeah.
Heavy lifting for you on this one.
Yeah.
Well, I've got, because I've thought about this beforehand, and I can just take one off of my list.
That was passive aggressive, that first bit.
Was it? Yeah. Not very tactful.
The tactful way of dealing with that would have been to say, well, okay, it's a bit disappointing you hadn't thought of one, but that's fine. You've had a busy week. That would have been tactful. But I've got one, because I've written the list, is passive aggressive.
Is it? Right, okay. Yeah. Well, I did lack a little bit of tact there, but I'm not really sure that I care. But,
that's just aggressive.
Well, the band I've chosen is Whitesnake.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Now, I've got all manner of thoughts flying through my head now, because firstly, I'm surprised you like Whitesnake.
Okay.
What else did I think there? I have got some Whitesnake because I very much liked them back in the day. Yeah,
well, so you've got some and don't like them, and I like them.
I did like them. I did like them back then in the 80s. I mean, I tell you what, I'd say Whitesnake, one of those bands that stuck around for too long. That's what I think.
I think I was a bit blinded by the fact that David Coverdale used to be in Deep Purple, and therefore it made me want to like them, perhaps. Yeah. But I didn't like them enough to go and buy any of their stuff. I was all right with them.
I went to see them at the Hammersmith Odeon, and David Coverdale had to leave the stage because he split his trousers.
Did he? As was his wont. Well, a lot of the rock stars from those days used to wear tight leathers, and that was it.
Very, very tight trousers. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw them at Reading, so that's very good. I liked them then, but didn't bother to buy any of their stuff.
I'm just thinking now of bands I've seen where someone has had to leave the stage. Didn't Shane MacGowan have to leave the stage when we saw the Pogues?
Yeah, that's just to get more Jack Daniels, I think, wasn't it?
It was to go to the dentist. I'm amazed he's still alive. It's incredible, isn't it, really?
It never fails to amaze me. Even Ronnie Wood, you think, how the hell have they sneaked through? But
they're not very good advertisements for recovering alcoholics.
No, they're not. No, because they're somehow surviving.
Yeah, they give the illusion that actually you'll be all right.
You can get away with it.
Yeah. So if you're thinking that, listening to this, just remember they are anomalies.
They are very much outside of the normal. Of normal, as we were talking about last week.
Yeah,
outside of the norm.
Norm, okay. That's Norm Sales. He had a lamb, didn't he? He brought it into your house, left it running around on the carpets.
We've circled back to that nicely, yeah.
Lovely. All right.
Okay, mate.
Laters. Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.